Moving forward, Professor Polkowski Zdzislaw, Jan Wyszkowski University, Poland. Dr. Zdzislaw Polkowski is a professor at UJW and WSG University, Poland, and serves as Rector Representative for International Cooperation and the Erasmus Program. Since October 2024, he has been a postdoctoral fellow at Marwari University, India, and a visiting professor at universities in Romania and India. He previously served as Dean of the Technical Sciences Faculty from 2009 to 12 at UZZM Lubin, holding a PhD in Computer Science and Management from Wroclaw University of Technology. He has published over 159 papers, including 65 plus in index journals, and co-edited 33 books with Springer's, IGI, and CRC Press. He has been an editorial board member and speaker at numerous international conferences. Dr. Polkowski has collaborated with universities across Europe, Asia, and Africa, including a study visit to the University of Cambridge in 2023. His research interests include AI, AR, computing, IoT, and ED tech. He has led EU funded research projects and owns a IT consultancy in Poland. Nicholas Parenfus, IT and cybersecurity specialist, auditor assistant, chair of Infotronics Student Club. Nicholas Parenfus is an IT and cybersecurity specialist, assisting Dr. Zdzislaw Polkowski at Jan Wyszkowski University and chairing the Infotronics Student Club. He supports security audits for public and private organizations, focusing on GDPR, KRI, and NIS2 complaints. Skilled in penetration testing with Kali Linux and Flipper Zero, he identifies vulnerabilities and assesses network security. He also manages IT systems, emphasizing monitoring, access control, and secure configurations. As part of the auditing team, he analyzes logs, verifies system settings, and evaluates risk in exposed services. I invite Professor Polkowski and Professor Nicholas Panefas.
Thank you so much. Namaskar. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much that you have been invited me for such a fantastic conference. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So today I'm going to say a few words about methods of cybersecurity audits in public institutions in business. So this is quite important, let's say, topic in context of state of art, which we have right now in Poland and Europe. As you see, short information about myself and my assistant Nicholas Paffenfuss. So these are my books. As you see, I'm dealing with AI, I'm dealing with IoT, but also I'm dealing with cybersecurity, what is in this moment very important. This is agenda of presentation today. So introduction, cybersecurity in Poland and Europe, few words about cloud computing and cybersecurity, cybersecurity audits. So, and then my assistant, Nicholas Papenfuss, will say a few words about case studies and challenges. Finally, we will say a few words about conclusion. As you know, probably in Europe, we have some Agenda 2050. This agenda also concerns to let's say, ICT, information communication technology, green IT, but also cybersecurity. So it means, according some points which we have in this agenda, we have to develop our ICT system in appropriate way. So as you see on this slide, I would like to present some past, current, and future situation in context of cybersecurity. I started to deal with IT in 1991. I started my job in IT sector, but before, of course, I was spending same time and I treated ICT as a hobby. What is interesting, at that time we didn't have any cybersecurity problems at all. Why? Because computers at the beginning were working in separated manner, and then we started to create computer networks. But at the beginning, those networks were local computer networks. When internet has appeared, we started to have a lot of problems in context of cybersecurity. That's why in 2012 in Poland, our government has implemented KRAI, so it means some regulations related to cybersecurity, and we had to start to implement some rules in context of cybersecurity. In 2019, in whole Europe, we started to use GDPR. So this is quite important in context of personal data. So it means internet was a milestone. Before, we didn't have security problems. After that, we have a lot of cybersecurity problems. More days you can see on this slide. So what is interesting, we are expecting that this year, next year, and we will have a lot of problems, cybersecurity problem, because of AI and Internet of Things. What is interesting, in 2030, we are expecting that we will use 6G, and we will have next part of cybersecurity problems. So if we are talking about ICT infrastructure nowadays in Poland, we could say that we are using UTM systems, which are very popular. What is interesting, those tools are recommended by our government and by our EU governments and organizations as well. So let's say more. If we are talking about cybersecurity, we have to deal with workstation, mobile servers, network. But to be honest, people create a lot of problems, hackers. So it means well-educated people who are using ICT not to build a better future, not to create better life, but to demolish our life, demolish our ICT systems. So that's why we have this kind of problems. So factors which can have influence on the level of the implementation security solutions are presented by this slide. To be honest, not in all public institutions and companies in Poland and Europe, we have same situation. As you see, there are many factors. Some companies, some public institutions are quite good, secure, and another no. So I said quite good because it's very difficult to say and to create system that it will be totally very good secured. So cloud computing and cybersecurity. To be honest, same like you in India, we started to implement cloud computing system. At the beginning, we had hybrid information system. It means that we had some system on premises. And also, we started to implement and to use some private cloud, public cloud, and so on. So that's why we can say that we have many hybrid cloud, hybrid information system which are using cloud computing solutions as well. So if we are talking about cloud computing system, this technology is related to many others. So it means if you use cloud computing, your system has more technical and security problems. We have some 5 ICT areas which dominate in context of technology, and cloud computing is quite important. But to be honest, in all 5 pillars, we have to we treat security as a very important issue, very important point. So, as you know, there are some positive and negative. There are positive and negative points of using traditional IT system and cloud computing system. But people who know me, that they know that I'm, let's say, person who thinks that future is in cloud computing, but not in only cloud computing, also fog computing, edge computing, because of IoT and AI. So as you see, if you have cloud computing, you can have some three simple basic models: SAS, IaaS, PaaS. So in some companies, we started even in public institutions, model IaaS, but to be honest, not so many public institutions, companies, they are ready to use this system. As I told you before, in this moment, we try to create hybrid systems, which can use many technologies, and we try to secure them. So that's why audit, it means to some activities where when we, IT specialists, we are checking if this system is well secured or not, are very important. So audit is an activity which has become very important activity in context of IT specialists. So that's why, because number of incidents, the number of incidents is going still up. You can see on this slide, this is just from 2017 till 2020, but unfortunately, when a military conflict in Ukraine has started, we have more this kind of accidents and, let's say, incidents also. Which institutions are affected? Mostly public institutions. So it means government institutions, as you see on this slide. So which problems we have? Viruses, some scan of IT system, phishing, and many other spam, and also some people try and let's say software try to take our data, especially personal data, from our system. To be honest, we try to secure our system in context of three areas: integrity, confidentiality, and availability, as you see on this slide. So if we are talking about aspect of security, so I told you before that we are using UTM system, but we are not sure if this UTM system were good or not. That's why we have to also do something by people, by IT specialists. We have to do some audits, because what is UTM system? UTM system is like a system, is a tool which is totally automated. Sometimes we have to do something by human being. So if we are talking about some institutions which are responsible for cybersecurity, for data, personal data, this is one of organization. This is a government Polish institution. It is Urząd Ochrony Danych Osobowych. In English could be like a government institution responsible for personal data. So these institutions advises to do some audits in context of personal data, but also in context of EU regulations, we have to do audits not related to only personal data, but also to IT systems. So now I would like to tell you about one interesting situation. I told you that we are creating hybrid system in Europe and Poland, and we started to use some cloud computing system. What is interesting, we have sometimes funds for those systems, but people are very, especially decision makers, they are very scared to implement cloud computing system. This is true example, but I don't want to say where and in which place. 10 public institutions had opportunity to move system which is implemented on premises. They could move to the cloud, but only one institution has decided to use cloud computing model in IaaS model. So it means people, decision makers, they are very scared to implement and to use cloud computing system because of some security problems. Now will speak my assistant, Nicholas Papenfuss. You can share your screen.
Okay, give me a second.
But if you want, I can switch slide. Maybe it will be better.
Can you share the screen for me?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, please, you can speak. Nicholas, you can start.
Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nicholas Papenfuss, and I am a cybersecurity specialist and a penetration tester. I'm truly honored to speak to you today, right after my colleague, Professor Dr. Zdzislaw Polkowski, who has just laid a solid foundation on the legal and regulatory aspects of cybersecurity. Now let's switch perspectives. While compliance, governance, and policies are absolutely essential, they are only part of the equation, because in practice, cybersecurity is not only about documentation, it's also about real-world threats, active testing, and anticipating the attacker's mindset. Today, I want to give you a glimpse into the practical world of audits and penetration testing. I'll show you some of the key tools and techniques we use. My goal is to show you how these tools, when used ethically and professionally, of course, help us uncover vulnerabilities before malicious attackers do. Before diving into the tools, it's important to understand the difference between two terms that are often confused: a security audit and a penetration test. A security audit is a structured review. We analyze how an organization manages its security, looking at system configuration, password policies, backup procedures, software updates, etc. Think of it like a technical inspection for a car. We are checking if everything is in order and follows best practices. A penetration test or pen test is something more active. It's a simulated attack. We try to breach the system the same way a real hacker would. The difference is we have permission, and we don't just stop at breaking in. We document how we did it and, more importantly, how to fix it. To start the practical part, let's talk about one of the most important foundations of vulnerability assessment: vulnerability databases. These are curated collection of known weaknesses in systems, software, and devices. They help us answer one key question: what's currently known to be insecure, and is it present in the systems we are testing? One of the tools I use regularly in Kali Linux is GVM, Greenbone Vulnerability Management, formerly known as OpenVAS. It performs full system scans and compares the findings against a huge, constantly updated database of known vulnerabilities. Now, what databases are we talking about? CVE, NVD, CERT advisories. They provide us a database of common vulnerabilities and exposures. This is the global standard. Each issue has a unique ID, and it expands with a score and extra details. And in the case of GVM, it also uses its own Greenbaum community feed or enterprise feed, which contains more of thousands scripts and tests known as wikis. GVM can scan a network, detect open ports, running services, and match them to known vulnerabilities. Using this knowledge base, this allows us to generate precise reports showing not just that a service is outdated, but exactly what risk it possesses and how it could be exploited. It's a great example of how cybersecurity relies on short knowledge. These databases are constantly growing because new vulnerabilities are discovered every day by researchers, hackers, and people like us, ethical testers. Let's take a closer look at Greenbaum vulnerability management, one of the most powerful tools available in Kali. GVM is not just a simple scanner, it's a full vulnerability management platform. It works by performing deep scans of entire networks or single machines, of course, and of course known vulnerabilities based off the vulnerability tests we mentioned earlier. Each discovered issue is given a CVSS score, Common Vulnerability Scoring System. So you can quickly prioritize what's a low risk and what's a critical risk and needs immediate attention. Kali Linux isn't just for scanning, it comes packed with hundreds of specialized tools grouped into categories such as information gathering, web application testing, password attacks, wireless attacks, etc. And even tools for digital forensics, reverse engineering, and social engineering simulations. Let's spend a moment on a web application security, because for most organizations, their website is the front door to everything else. One of the best tools for testing web application is OWASP Zap. It's free, open source, and maintained by the OWASP Foundation. Zap is both powerful and beginner-friendly. It can be used in two main ways. Automated scan, you can enter a URL and Zap automatically crawls the site and tests for common issues like SQL injection or XSS, insecure cookies, missing headers, and more. Or manual explore, here you browse the site through Zap's proxy and it records every request and response. You can then inspect each one of them, launch and targeted attacks. It works great in real pentest scenarios, especially when paired with authentication or session testing. The interface gives you a live view of all HTTP traffic, alert levels for discovered vulnerabilities, and more. What I personally like is the Zap is not a toolbox. You can modify requests, craft payloads, and even add custom scripts. So whether you are scanning a public site or performing an internal audit of a company internet, Zap is a must-have tool. And the best part, it's cross-platform, actively developed, and after testing, we get our vulnerabilities, similar like in GVM. While Kali Linux gives us powerful tools for software and network-level testing, some of the most overlooked vulnerabilities are in the physical layer, in the devices we use every day. That's where Flipper Zero comes in. At first glance, it looks like a little toy with a screen and a cartoon dolphin, but in reality, it's a powerful multi-tool for hardware and radio-based security testing, especially for IoT devices and embedded systems. Let me give you a few examples of what it can do. RFID and NFC cloning. Flipper can scan, store, and emulate office access cards or hotel keys, even car keys, which are often purely secured. IR replay, it can mimic IR remotes to test weather projectors, TV air conditioning units, or even alarm systems are vulnerable to unauthorized control. Sub-gigahertz radio signal replay, it can capture and replay signals from garage doors, intercoms, and wireless bells. Bluetooth and wireless scanning, GPO and hardware debugging, Wi-Fi pen testing. But there is one more important capability I want to highlight. Flipper can also act as a USB device. When plugged into a computer via USB, Flipper can mimic a keyboard or a mouse. This means it can inject keystrokes, open terminals, run scripts, or download payloads all within seconds. To wrap things up, we've seen how security audits and penetration tests work in practice. We explored powerful tools like Kali or Flipper or GVM. But there is the most important takeaway. Cybersecurity is not a product, it's a process. Tools like Kali and Flipper are incredibly powerful, but without clear policies, trained staff, and regular testing, even the best technology can fail. That's why regular professional audits performed ethically with the right scope and consent, of course, are essential to staying secure in today's threat landscapes. This slide brings up one of the more important challenges we face today, not just in the cybersecurity, but in the entire tech landscape. What exactly are we teaching the next generation and how? If you want the students to be more than just consumers of technology, if you want to become skilled and responsible creators, then our job isn't just to teach them how tools work, it's to teach them why they exist, when to use them, and most importantly, what the consequences are. As we look at the future of cybersecurity, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. Artificial intelligence is no longer just a supporting tool, it's becoming a key player of the game. AI is already transforming how we detect, predict, and respond to threats. Through techniques like deep learning, modern systems are able to analyze massive amounts of data far beyond what any human analyst could process and identify subtle patterns that might indicate a risk. Things like unusual login timings or low-level system anomalies. These are things human might overlook, but AI systems can detect them instantly and adapt in real time. And this is just the beginning. In the near future, maybe self-learning AI agents will likely patrol cyberspace autonomously. And that's all from me for now. My colleague Zdzislaw Polkowski will say a few words at the end.
So let's go to conclusions. So as you see, during our presentation, we just wanted to show you what we started to use this and last year. In the past, we have never used this kind of situation in real life. We were doing some activities with students. We were preparing, we were writing some scientific papers, but first time in our let's say practical activities, we started to use this kind of methods, this kind of solutions, and we started to use audits supported by some specific tools. I think maybe it could be good to organize some activities, webinars, with some students from India who are dealing with cybersecurity, and to organize some common joint activities, students, Polish students and Indian students, in context of developing some IT tools which could be useful for cybersecurity audits. So let me say at the end that in the future, we have to concentrate more and more on some tools, on some regulations in context of cybersecurity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Really, it was very insightful lecture. Sir, both of you have talked about the cyber security, especially in Poland. And you have talked about cybersecurity audits in business. And even you have taken so many case studies also. Then you have talked about information and communication technology-based security. Then what are the factors which are responsible to influence the cyber security? Even you have talked about GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, then INSIA, European Union Agency for Cyber Security, then security audit and penetration test. And then Professor Nicholas have discussed about the various tools which are being used in cybersecurity, in the field of cybersecurity, JAB, Clipper Zero, and finally, very important topic you both of you have covered, how artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize the cybersecurity area. Thank you very much. Really, sir, it was very insightful lecture. Audience, please, you can ask questions by putting your in your chat box, and from Professor Polkowski and Nicholas, you may ask any questions if you have by just putting your other question in your chat box. Sir, one question has arrived.
Okay, please.
Yeah. How can the implementation of a comprehensive cybersecurity audit process enhance an organization's ability to detect, prevent, and respond to cyber threats while ensuring compliance with industry standards and regulations?
So let me say how I find this question. So to be honest, if we are talking about cybersecurity in Poland and Europe, we have to follow first of all according to regulations which we have. As I told you, we have KRI, this is one. Second is GDPR. And last one, in this moment, I think is some ISO norms. But since next, not since, from next month, April, we have to follow according NIS2. So it means, first of all, if we are teaching students, if you are doing some IT activities, you have to be well educated in context of norms. If you know norms, you can then start to try to implement some tools and solutions. But problem is that government, both government, Polish government and EU government, they are not giving us ready tools. So it means universities can test some solutions, students can develop some solutions, and some IT companies can develop some solutions. Sometimes we don't know what is good, which method, which tool could be the best. So that's why we still looking for the best method. As I told you, in the past, we have never used this kind of methods which have been presented by Nicholas. I'm not sure if I answered correctly for this question. So let me sum up. We have to know some regulations. We know those regulations, but very often we don't know methods and tools, and we have to develop those methods and tools by ourselves. Because, you know, of course, sometimes government is giving us some advices, good practices, but I don't know, maybe they don't want to take a risk, something like that, because they could say this method is the best, but in some specific situation, it will be not the best, will be the worst. So that's why IT specialists in context of business, a public institution can decide what is the best, what is not good. Is it okay or not?
Yes, sir. I think the audience definitely will be happy with this answer.
Okay, question 2. Nicholas, please try to answer for question 2.
Okay, no problem. So the question is, to date, is there an international authentication for cybersecurity audit enterprise? So there is no formal up-to-date or at all how we do cybersecurity audits. We have some tips, we have some advices from government,
But
etc.
Nicholas, don't forget about international norms, which are, let's say, good to implement and to use. This is ISO 270, 271 and 272. If you could follow according this norm, is I think it is good. So we use mostly we in Europe and Poland we follow according this international norm. But please continue.
So like Mr. Polkowski said, there are some norms, but those are just norms. There are not regulations. We can follow them, but we met a lot of people that or don't want to or don't know them, and then audits can be really different. Like we can do audit, make a report where we say this is not okay, this is not okay, but some of auditors want to make big audits, want to make a big reports where they say on 10 pages long why we should update just an application on our system. But that's not a thing in audits. Audits have to be
Please,
clever.
Nicholas, let me add a few words. So we saw many audits which have been conducted by not us, not by me and Nicholas, my assistant, by somebody else. And for example, we saw audit and report from this audit, which had 200 pages. And from my personal opinion is that it doesn't make sense. We have to know that CEO of some companies, some directors, headmasters, they are not educated in IT and they are totally confused. So it means sometimes some people, they are doing audit and people who are decision makers, after this audit, they know less than before this audit. So they are totally confused. So they should have, after audit, some very short report, what to do now, what to change, what to improve, where the weak points, not to have 200 pages and people after this report that they don't know exactly what to do. Please add something more, Nicholas, if you want.
I think the essential of this question was already answered. The audit must to be clever and have advices for the CEOs and not technical persons to understand it.
Should be very good understood by decision makers. So maybe more questions, please. We are ready to answer for them. So I'm very curious because even I visited India over 12 times, but so far I haven't had any chance to talk about audits, how you are doing audits in India. Maybe during my next visit, I will talk to my friends, professors, and we will exchange our skills. And what I told you, I think could be good to organize some webinar, Polish students and Indian students, when we could exchange our skills, our knowledge, because still we don't know enough. And I'm afraid that if AI will develop very fast, we will have a very short time to be ready to protect those systems, because unfortunately, as I said during my speech, there are bad IT specialists. We have more and more, and I don't understand them at all, why they are doing, why they are demolish our life. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Over to Dipanshi.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening our